In the federal surge here in the district just a few hours ago, President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social praising D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. He said that she'd become, quote, very popular because she worked with me and my great people to bring down crime to virtually nothing in the district. The president also said that Mayor Bowser's statements and actions have been positive, unlike other Democratic politicians across the country, and that includes Maryland Governor Wes Moore. Now, Trump also congratulated Mayor Bowser for helping to, quote, make D.C. a crime-free zone.
So, hi family, and welcome back to the channel. How did we get here? How did we get to the part where our president, Donald Trump, is congratulating the mayor of D.C.? Well, let's take a look at what the mayor of D.C. had to say about Trump policy in deploying the National Guard to D.C.
The federal surge has had a significant increase on crime in Washington, D.C. And we greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in this city.
Someone's happy.
Can we make the distinction between, or how are we quantifying
the difference between this period, this 20-day period of this federal surge, and last year represents a 87% reduction in carjackings in Washington, D.C.
Trust that's been broken because some of the lines are being blurred when people on the street see.
I want to say that I have been personally engaged with Attorney General Bondi and the President's Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, and I spoke with the President this afternoon. And I was reminded of our first meeting after his re-election, where we discussed shared priorities for the district. There, I was reminded that the President's interest in cities predates his time in office, and his knowledge of D.C. had significantly increased from the first time he was in the White House.
Okay.
To have joint task force staffing at certain metro stations as relates to where school areas are.
We will be supportive of the President's $2 billion request to improve infrastructure, especially federal infrastructure in the district.
Prior days that he may look at a national emergency to keep the surge going, and then recently said that he doesn't think that is necessary.
Sometimes people are surprised when I make this statement, but it is a fact. We have a relatively small encampment problem in D.C. It, however, is highly visible.
Do you think this is going to end after 30 days? And if it has been successful?
So this week, I think Thursday or Friday, we are going to do another census count of unsheltered people in D.C. That will give us an accounting of if any tents remain, where those tents are, the number of residents living there, and the number of people who may not be in tents but are still on the street. We want to know where they are so that we can connect them to services and get them to come inside.
Some meat on the bones of your conversation with the president, particularly we
know that we have had fewer gun crimes, fewer homicides, and we have experienced an extreme reduction in carjackings. What we know is not working is...
Okay, so now you've heard it from the mayor herself of D.C. Donald Trump showed us what real leadership looks like. He provides that reducing crime is possible when you have courage, backbone, and a commitment to law and order. Washington, D.C. became safer under Trump. And if we want that safety and security back, it's time to embrace his vision again. Because at the end of the day, every American, no matter where they live, deserves to feel safe in their community. Now let's listen to more of this good news. The Trump win, his victory in reducing crime in D.C. Take a listen to this.
Continue to see federal agents and National Guard in D.C. are wondering politically, is this a winner for President Trump and the White House? They seem to think that it is, and there may be some data that backs that up. Right now, overwhelming majorities of Americans see crime as a serious issue and see being tough on crime as the right stance. It's a little more nuanced when you ask people about the federal response. The vast majority of Americans do not want to see the federal government take over local police departments, but a small majority actually support having a federal presence in certain cities if that's going to help reduce crime. Meantime, we just heard from D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser today, who has been very complimentary of the surge, saying in D.C. it is working to bring down violent crime. She talked about an 87% drop in carjackings. She said that she's going to continue to have Washington, D.C. officials work with the federal government any way they can to try to continue to reduce crime. And she also said she supports President Trump's plan to ask Congress for $2 billion to improve not just crime and homelessness, but infrastructure in Washington, D.C. That means parks, that means street signs, that means revitalizing the city physically.
The district over the last 10 years, I have had a significant effort on improving infrastructure, especially alleys, local streets, trees, lights throughout the district, and you can see the change over these last 10 years of roads that were in poor condition to roads that are now in good or excellent condition. We will, though I don't know much of the details, we will be supportive of the president's $2 billion request to improve infrastructure, especially federal infrastructure in the district.
President Trump has gone further in calling for a comprehensive crime bill, something like what Congress passed in the early 90s. However, our congressional sources are a little iffy as to whether or not that is actually going to happen.
Okay, so now that we've established Trump's victory, this win, him being able to restore law and order in the city of D.C., you would think that everyone would be on board as Americans, because this is what we want to see, the safety of Americans. But oh no, listen to the Democrats and the lefties complain about what Trump has done, even after he was praised by the D.C. mayor. Listen to the negativity coming from the left, coming from MSNBC. That's why they're losing the NBC on their name. Listen to this rhetoric.
Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says President Trump's federal law enforcement surge has led to a drop in crime in the city, but she's criticizing the presence of immigration agents and National Guard troops. At a press conference yesterday, Bowser thanked officers and reported an 87% decrease in carjackings, as well as a 15% drop in overall crime. That's just in the 20 days since the federal takeover began. Watch.
We greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in this city. We know that when carjackings go down, when use of gun goes down, when homicide or robbery go down, neighborhoods feel safer and are safer. So this surge has been important to us for that reason.
But Bowser went on to explain that the presence of masked immigration officers and National Guard soldiers from other outlets was not helpful.
You see how they can't just be happy in the moment that something positive actually occurred in the country. Instead, they want to constantly bring up something negative that has nothing to do with what we're discussing. And that is the fact that crime is down in D.C. But let's keep listening to this nonsense.
What we know is not working is a break in trust between police and community, especially with new federal partners in our community. We know having masked ICE agents in the community has not worked, and National Guards from other states has not been an efficient use of those resources. I'm devastated by people living in fear. I think you know very clearly how I feel about our nation needing comprehensive immigration reform, about the Congress establishing a pathway to citizenship for hardworking people who came to this country for a better life and who are not criminals, who are law-abiding. And I think when that question is finally answered, that's the only way to deal with this fear, or to deal with these agencies going after law-abiding people.
Francesca, we always love having you here, but you bring with you some news from your exclusive interview with the Vice President, J.D. Vance, where you asked him about the National Guard. I want to listen to that and then get your take.
But would they be indefinite? How long?
You're saying if we deploy the National Guard, how long would they stay? Mm-hmm. Well, I think fundamentally that would be up to the local governors, the local authorities, in concert with the President of the United States to make those determinations. I think you obviously have to make that determination based on the local crime rates, what's happening with murder, what's happening with armed robberies, what's happening with carjackings. I mean, we don't want indefinitely to put National Guardsmen on the streets of our cities. We just want to make those streets more safe.
So if, by his logic, you're seeing a decrease in carjackings, you're seeing a decrease in crime, then it means that the National Guard troops could be here for a shorter period.
So here we have, family. They are so focused on wanting the National Guard to leave D.C. as opposed to celebrating the fact that crime is down because Trump brought the National Guard. So again, family, let's get this discussion going. Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what you think about this issue. Let me know what you think about the compliment that Trump gave the mayor, and that the mayor acknowledged Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard in D.C. has worked. And then the negative MSNBC and how they always want to twist the positive news surrounding Donald Trump. And again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to receive immediate updates on the next video. And remember, remain curious and stay bold. Have a good evening, and I'll see you in the next video.